Let's bring in Chris Broussard, co-host First Things First. So listen to these numbers. My guys just pulled these out. These are amazing. Anthony Davis in the first half of the series, 16 points, 65% from the field, 10 attempts. In the second half, 6.4 points, 44%, 5 attempts. That's half the player. So what it's telling you is he's getting worn down. And then last night, I see him get banged in the head. So if he didn't, I mean, what that's telling me is, am I going to get energized dominating AD in Game 6? I mean, what do you make of those numbers? He's like two different players.
Yeah, I think the numbers are the toll of the pace that the Warriors are pushing, weighing on him in the second half. And that's why I don't think he's as effective. Now, I will give him credit. It was the second half, of course, when he defended Steph Curry at the end of Game 4. And he did a great job moving his feet, all that. But offensively, he obviously hasn't been that same guy. Colin, assuming he plays, and the latest reports are that he looks like he'll play in Game 6, I'm not expecting a big game from AD. I think that because of what happened last night, with him getting hit like that and, having the problems that he had, I think he's going to be a tad bit tentative, a little bit hesitant. If I'm the Warriors, I am getting physical with him, assuming the refs got to let him play, but I'm getting physical with them. AD doesn't like physical play. That's why he's never wanted to really be a center. And I am attacking the rim. One of the things that's bothered me about the Warriors in this series, I get it, they're a great three-point shooting team. But sometimes they are passing up layups or short runners 5-7 feet to kick it out for a three-point shot because they've been afraid of AD. You have to attack him, and I think they'll do, if I'm them, I'm doing that. And here's the thing, Colin, I think subconsciously AD will use what happened last night. It'll be a crutch for him. It's an excuse to have a bad game, to have a game where you're not fully engaged, where you're not dominant, one of these games where he's just out there, but he's kind of got this built-in excuse. Oh, you saw what happened to him at the end of Game 5. So, look, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I expect from AD. I don't expect him to be dominant at all.
Okay, here's what I worry about. Wiggins has had one great game in the series, and when they out-rebound the Lakers, they're 2-0. And Wiggins, he's twitchy. He is a fast elevator. He can tip loose balls. When he was aggressive last night around the basket, they're a different basketball team. But he's not. He can be very passive. He can disappear. And I don't think to beat the Lakers, they need that Wiggins. And I don't know if I can get that.
Yeah. Well, it's a question mark, that's for sure. I mean, that was why he couldn't be a 1 or 2 in Minnesota. And I thought he'd be perfect in Golden State because he'd be the 3 or the 4. And that's what he is. You don't expect much from him. He's not the guy you go through. He's going to give you a good 20 points and some defense and things like that. And I agree. I mean, last year, remember, he was their second best player in the finals. That is the Andrew Wiggins they need. And Wiggins was great. Draymond had his best game of the postseason. And some people are saying, well, you can't count on that. Certainly you can't count on 20 from Draymond, so they could be in trouble in Game 6. But here's what I say. Those two stepping up, particularly Draymond offensively, that just made up for Klay not delivering. So Klay Thompson is due. All right, Klay Thompson's last 3 games, he's averaging 11 points, shooting less than 30% from the floor, 33% from 3. He is due, and they call him Game 6 Klay for a reason, so I'm expecting a big game from Klay. So even if Draymond doesn't score a lot or Wiggins drops back down a little bit, Klay delivering should make up for that.
So I've said before, I think the Sixers are flawed, but I love watching them play because it's all alpha. Doc, Harden, Embiid. They think they're greater than they are, and I love them. Boston's better than they think they are, and I don't trust them late. So they play tonight. I think Tatum's going to come and give you one of his all-timers. But, man, if they lose, who do you have tonight? I'm going to take Boston But going to Philly is going to be a handful. That crowd's going to be lubricated and ready to go. Who do you like?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm shocked at this series because I really, as good as Philadelphia is, and I've looked at their past with James Harden struggling in big playoff moments, and I've just said there's no way they're beating Boston. Boston was 3-1 against them in the regular season, obviously has owned them in the playoffs the last several years, but Philly's played great. I've got Boston tonight because, like you said, I'm expecting a huge performance from Jason Tatum. What did he do last year when their backs were against the wall? I think, was it 46 against Miami in Game 7 of the conference finals? 43 down 3-2 Game 6 in Milwaukee against Giannis and the Bucks. I'm expecting him to have a huge game. And the Celtics overall are at their best when their backs are against the wall. All right, they like to play around with their food, right? And they get a little lead, it's got some cushion, and they relax. But tonight, there's no room to relax. And so I do think they'll come out, have a great game, and force a Game 7 back in Boston.
I said this earlier. I made a proposed trade yesterday, Poole and Wiggins and a draft pick for Jaylen Brown and Brogdon. I thought it was brilliant. The interweb did not love it. But my takeaway is this. Shaq and Kobe didn't get along, but you pay them because they won titles. Stockton and Malone did get along and work together. They didn't win titles, but I'd still pay them. It worked. But this is a tandem league, and Tatum is passive, and Jalen's aggressive, but a 2. And if they can't get past Philly, I got questions about giving them the max money. And if you lose, it's like timeout. Philadelphia's all beat up. Harden's old. Maxi's not great yet, and we can't beat them in the second round? I'm not giving I would keep Tatum. So my thing is, if Boston loses tonight, is there a chance they say, guys, we've seen the best of it. We couldn't beat the Warriors, and they make a move?
Yeah, look, this has been 6-7 years now. 3 times in the last 6 years they've been in the conference finals, obviously haven't gotten over the hump. I would listen to talk on Tatum. I like what you said about Jordan Poole with the Warriors as far as him not fitting. He's kind of loosey-goosey, just doesn't fit their culture and all that. I wasn't mad at that. But if I'm Boston, I got to get back more than Jordan Poole. And I know it was a 4-player deal, but Poole, I like him, and I do think he can be a big scorer somewhere else, but I'm not sure if I want more. If I'm Boston, I'm Cleveland. Let's just think about Donovan Mitchell for Jaylen Brown. Cleveland, they got a great guard in Darius Garland, a great small guard.
Yeah.
They need a defender on the perimeter. Jaylen fits that bill and can give you 25 points. So do you think about that? I don't think the Knicks, Jalen Brunson is great. He's becoming a little cult hero here in Manhattan. But how about Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson for Robert Williams III and Jaylen Brown? Because the Knicks, as good as Brunson is, if he's your best player, you're not getting to a championship.
Right.
And so there are other things I'd look at, but I think you're on the right track with both of them maybe being moved, Poole and Brown, but I don't know that I'd do it for each other. But if I'm Golden State and the Celtics want to do that, then sure. Give me Jalen. I'm definitely doing that if I'm Golden State.
Okay, so finally, J-Mac and I had a draft earlier. I went first and took Steph. He then took Jokic. So we had a draft. If we played tomorrow with all the available playoff guys, so put the draft up. I think his team is old and rickety and on fumes. I think my team would blow him out. But I guess my point was we got into this argument about, like, Jimmy Butler. So I got Curry, Davis, Butler, Brown, and Booker, which is, by the way, Anthony Davis is at the anyway, he's got a lot of old guys in Tatum. Who would you take in that game tomorrow they play?
Who? That's a man. Because Steph, Booker, AD on the defensive end, playoff Jimmy.
Yeah.
Old rickety. That sounds like J-Mac. I'm not surprised he picked that team. I'm going with Colin. I'm going with Colin's team. Now, I'm shocked neither of you has Joel Embiid.
We didn't.
As great as AD has been, I would go with Embiid over AD just because I know he can give me 30 consistently.
Yeah.
And I do think he can play the type of defense AD has, although AD's been the best defender in the playoffs. But I'm going with Colin.
Yep, see? That's why he comes on the show.
Sorry, J-Mac.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Really not that sorry.
That's we're not really that sorry at all. Good seeing you, Brew.
Okay. All right, guys. See
All
you.
right.